Hi, and welcome to the studio. You who watch us, and Colin is our host today. We have a special guest, Mary, who is working with the children, the young people. She has a rich experience, and if you want, you can through the channel YouTube or maybe Facebook to put questions, and in time Mary will answer. Today we will try to have a discussion about what she's doing and our project here. Then let's find out what Mary is doing and how she worked trying to give a better life to the children and the families with children and young people.
Let me come in.
Colin, come in now. And
Hello, Colin.
he is hosting our meeting today.
I'm doing some of the tech behind the scene as well. I'm not just being late. And so actually you can see something on our little set here that hasn't been here before. What's different?
Would it be me?
All right, two things that are different. We have Marie here, as Bernard has said, and we have our studio sign. Yay! We've been waiting weeks for the studio sign, and it has appeared. It went to Canada, but it's here now. So we are, as I said before, gradually making this a better set. So we are operating here from St Sed's as part of the studio. And one of the delights, one of the things that we wanted to set up was this is for local people, for you to connect in with us. So as Bernard said, please do, we have got a Facebook feed, so you can put your comments and questions on there. We can monitor that, so please do ask questions. Marie is here as a youth work expert.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you've got any youth work, particular questions about young people or how pandemic has affected young people, we'll ask Marie in a few moments. But you may have a question, so please put that in on the Facebook feed. I know we're on YouTube, but I haven't got that. I can't run that as well, so I'm on the Facebook feed. So,
Hello.
Marie, hello.
Thank you for having me.
That's quite all right. You are very welcome. You work here with a youth group at St Sed's. You've worked with us at St Stephen's for, I can't remember what the first time was, 8 years ago. 8 years ago. So it's been really good to work with you over those years. But tell us, we'll come to the specifics in a little while, but in your experience, what has the pandemic, these last 18 months or so, what impact has that had on young people?
From the people that I work with and the conversations that we have, because we have built a programme around it to how to support the young people, is confusion. I think they don't know what the next steps are. There's a lot of conversation they hear because children don't miss much at all. So they come into us and they freely discuss all the different stories they're hearing. What really interests me is the discrimination that can be created from this because they're young.
Discrimination in what way?
Where the virus started, where it came from, nothing that's it's been out there in the newspapers, it's been everywhere. And now that the vaccine, there's a lot of conversation, and we're talking about children as young as 8.
Right.
So, it's definitely heavily on their minds.
Yeah.
They're still having lots of fun and being children,
Yeah.
but, as a professional, I can see those little bits.
Yeah. Do you think they're getting guidance from their parents, or do they communicate well with their parents?
Yeah, I think so. I have very good relationships with most of the parents. That is a lot of what my job is about. So, I've been contacting all through lockdown every week, speaking to those families, and if they'd needed more support than Early Help Family Support, who I work for, we've been developing programmes and sending them out to individually tailored made, really.
Yeah.
They know where we are. We have a COVID helpline as well through the council website. So
any young person could
call onto that. They can reach out. Anyone can reach out to that. And then they have designated workers as well that can speak to me. And the schools as well. We do work alongside the schools, so we identify what needs there are. And as a community worker as well, that's my role as well, to look at where projects need starting. So I think now is the beginning of it, really, because we've had the lockdown periods, and now that children, young people are socialising and engaging with us, that's when we start seeing. So.
Yeah.
I read some articles, information from the media, and I watched some series on TV about the children and young people or the families. And there are a lot of information about the differences between the families and their possibilities. The most of the comments say that the differences between them deepened now, and a lot of family struggling to try to offer to their children what they need. That happened with the parents and families you work with now.
Yes.
Did you feel that?
Yes, I do, totally. I mean, I work in prevention, so obviously, with the thousands of families that are across Southend, everybody's story is different. So because we work on a low scale support, I think all the families that I directly work with have been supported really well, and their children have come back in here, and they're confident still. We haven't really noticed that change in personality. It is just in conversation, and that comes down to parents.
What you say about that, again, the media is speaking very much about that, the lost generation of the pandemic. Are they so deeply affected mentally?
I think there is a huge...
in their way of socializing and working together and gathering?
There are a huge amount of people. I mean, we did have some families that we had to really encourage and feel confident to come back into buildings. We started our youth groups outdoors, so then that would help the situation as well. I think especially before they went back to school as well, because they didn't have that to integrate in slowly. So it was quite a huge step. I think the advantage that we've got in this area is we've got green space. So even though everybody...
Good news.
Yeah, very good news. So I think even though everybody felt they were trapped at home and couldn't go away, and I know families here that had to cancel holidays, and there was big differences, but we've got the outdoor space. I think that has helped a lot of people mental health wise. Like I say, I can only really talk with the families that I work direct with. Yeah. So there are a lot that are struggling.
For the people who are watching us now and will watch later the recording, you, with your experience, can you see a way how we as church here, as small congregations here in this area, can help and to play a big role in this, in this game of recovering and helping families, children to, regain their capacity to socialize and to come out?
And I think you've said the word there, it's the socialise and get out. I think identifying people that are still isolated, because there's a lot of people that live on their own, or their grandparents, and they were looking after the children day to day. People have lost jobs, so they're no longer needed to look after them. They've got health risks, so they still can't engage with them. So I think it's those people to, give different strategies that you can go outdoors and meet, and there are other ways to see each other. They might not be able to go to, now we can, but might not be able to go to the coffee shop. So it's okay to make a flask of tea and sit on a blanket, because, I don't think that was practiced enough before lockdown. Yeah. So people have lost that. Yeah.
So if we, say, as a church, just opened up and said, have a cup of tea or something, do you think young people would come to something like this? Is it something they're looking for?
I think, an evening thing they're looking for. I think it's harder to capture children when they're kind of 14, 15 plus, because, they've already set up where they're going to socialise by then. But younger families, I think there are gaps there. So the best suggestion is to work with schools and alongside us, and then find out what the needs are. Yeah.
So you run a youth group here.
Yes.
So tell us about that. Tell us about, I know you've done lots of things outside and in here now.
Yeah.
So
it's a job that I absolutely love. At the moment, we're limited for up to 15 children, so it was quite hard to select who was in need more. So at the moment, we are the targeted youth support services, so we have identified the children that need the help the most. So yeah, every day is different, and I think that's what's brilliant about it. And also, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, so you have to take time, and it's about adapting yourself to that family's needs. It's not about you saying what you want from them and that's it, they become that person. It's about finding ways of building those relationships, and I think that's what makes a difference to the families, because, you know, in lockdown I would have a family ring me randomly, and if I hadn't built those relationships, that wouldn't have happened. So.
You just said a little before that it's a bit more difficult working with the youngsters, with the teenagers over 14. I feel the same. You having your expertise and your long experience, how you consider why this situation?
I think it's about independence, because at that age, you know, they're in school, it's really hard in the school, they're starting
at this
GCSE.
age, at this stage of their life, they are most complicated in their psychology and so on. They need more than the others to socialize. I
Definitely think so. They have got lots of challenges, but I think each age group has its own challenges that are just as equal to each other. And again, looking at a child individually, not all children do need that extra. You know, we focus on the ones that do, which sometimes have barriers with us because we are a service. So even getting them in the building can take some time. So I think that's a big challenge, is you know, the impression that they've got of youth clubs. And what did really interest me is we're doing outreach work at the moment, and not many children, 14, 15, know what a youth club is anymore.
Yeah.
So it's,
Is it true that there are a lot less youth service or youth clubs around?
from us, yes. Some have been opened in the last year or so, but when you look at a comparison of how many young people there are in town, it's still not a lot. But there have been other organisations, like there's a lot of sports organisations that have brought in group work, but it is very different to the youth work. You know, you don't have that sit down, discuss, let things off your chest.
It seems like it's like being something missing between generations, because everywhere I go and with all the people I talk, everybody say the same. There is no connection between young people, teenagers and children. The teenagers are nowhere in the last years, 2 or 3 or more.
But you speak to teenagers, and anyone over 30 is old.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just about changing their attitude towards it.
Yeah. We've got a question online from Joanna.
Hello.
How many people is the youth club open for beyond the restrictions? Not now, but beyond the restrictions. And how would a family access your youth service?
Okay, across our service, let me tally it up in my head. We have 3 different buildings we're running from, and we have, I'm going to say 8 different sessions that run during the week that are across the whole of Southend. So when we're not in these circumstances, we just look at the size of the building, really, because you've got to make sure everybody's safe. But we've had 25 in this room. We do use the outdoor space, so if there's more, then we can take on. But we also do like events during the summer where we do outdoor picnics and things like that, so people can come along. You would get in touch with either Janice Loynes or Jackie Byram, and that is through the Civic 2 Centre, and that's who they'd contact, and then they'd be signposted. If you're very local, then knock on. You can also get my contact number from Colin after the show.
Right,
so everybody's welcome. There's
if you don't know how to get onto the council number or the council website, because it can be confusing. I've been on the council website. It is so confusing.
I didn't make it. Just add that in.
Not accusing you for that. You can contact us studio@livestreams.org.uk on our email. The phone number is 01702 300 402 for the office number. We can put you in touch with Marie if you want to access the service or I'm sure you'll talk to people if people have got a specific issue. Could you
Definitely.
give them an answer or signpost them to somewhere?
I mean, even if you're not interested in your child attending, we can always signpost you into the right place. Or if we have a little bit of advice, then that's what we can give. We do take children from 8 to 14 at the moment, and I do have some spaces for the older session.
Which one's the older session? What age?
That's from secondary school, so that's
Right,
11,
so 11.
12 up to 14 years
11 to
old.
14, yeah.
But we're full up for the younger ones at the moment.
Okay. Marie, thank you
That's
ever
okay.
so much.
Thank
I don't
you.
think there's any more questions from outside. We could actually carry on talking for a long time
I
because
could.
I said really, I didn't mean you.
I can.
We could talk. There are so many issues, and perhaps we'll invite you again to talk maybe more generally about young people understanding teenagers, their search for identity, which is something that I think you were talking about, and perhaps a bit more general things. So if you don't mind coming back again. It's been a delight to have you.
Thank you very much for your time.
It was amazing to talk to you, and I'm happy to hear all this information because we are worried for the young generation because they are our future and we want them happy and healthy and to be okay.
And if I could just quickly add in, for my personal opinion, please don't ever call a child naughty. Always assume that there is something going on for the reason of their behaviour, because if you brand a child naughty, that's what they will become.
Yeah.
So that's
Thank you very much for this advice.
Brilliant.
Then you hear about that.
Yeah.
Don't call the child naughty. They are just simple, good people, and we're happy with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great advice. Thank you.
You take care.
Thank you. So we will be back next week at 1:30 again. That's our new time, slightly earlier than it was before. That's it from the studio. You can tune in again on any of the Live Streams platforms for all of our online work. Just go to livestreams.org.uk, it's our website, and this is studio@livestreams.org.uk. So we are going to say goodbye. So goodbye from Marie.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from Colin. And goodbye from
Bernard, see you.
I've got to go.
Yeah.
Bye.